Well, good morning, Redeemer. Yeah. Well, this week, my wife also has been preparing a sermon. And so we've been kind of in the same rhythm, so as she's trying to get her outline and she's trying to clear out all the noise so she can hear from God, I'm doing the same thing. It's so nice to feel like someone understands the difficulty of sermon writing. And she's there working it. And I tell you what, I get excited about her message. And gals, if you haven't signed up yet, it's coming this Saturday. You need to sign up by Wednesday the 1st, okay? And you don't want to miss it. She's going to preach. And there's so many other things going on too. Listen, other people preparing a really good spiritual meal. But, my wife and I, we've enjoyed certain things together, and I'm really thankful that she likes to hike with me. Not backpack. There's a difference. Overnight, no, she will not do that. But backpack or hiking, yes, she will. And in 2019, my wife and I, we drove over to California with the hopes to get permission to hike up Half Dome in the Yosemite Valley. And two mountains grace every advertisement for Yosemite. It's Half Dome and El Capitan. So I'll show you a picture. El Capitan is on the left. That's a big rock wall that people, it takes a couple days to actually climb up. We weren't doing rock climbing. We were doing mountain climbing. And Half Dome is way in the back, right above Betsy's head. Maybe you can see it. So they have to limit the amount of people who climb this thing because there's like over 4 million people that flood this every summer. And so the most important hikes, like Half Dome and El Cap, they limit. So I think we were traveling right through Colorado when we received notice that we got our permits. So it was like, this is on. Because we were just going to go out to spend time in the Yosemite Valley, but if they gave us permits, we would go for it. So it was on. Now, have you ever attempted something, or you ever experienced when you thought you had completed the hardest part of something, only to find out the hardest part is yet to come? Such was this hike. We started at 6 a.m., kind of walking in the dark for about first 15, 20 minutes. And I'd been on this particular trail before, so I knew what we were up against, at least the first 2 miles. The first 2 miles, yes, that is Half Dome, from a vantage point that makes it really pretty. The first 2 miles, you're going up like staircase. So if you've ever done stadium stair climbing, it's 2 miles of that. And here's the path that we took. You see those two waterfalls on the right-hand side? We had to get to the top of that. The first one is Vernal Falls. The next one is Nevada Falls. And that was the staircase. Well, that's quite the perspective. And I seriously thought we'd climb the hardest part. So here's the stair steps. Here's another one. The trail goes that way. I mean, is that crazy? So you're packing up to get to the top of the hike, and you get to the top, and I thought, okay, the hardest part. Because you come into a valley that's really serene and beautiful. That's Half Dome, the back side of it, and we have to climb around it. So the little knob on the right-hand side, that's called the subdome. So we were in the valley. It was really nice, beautiful, and then it starts to climb again. And when we were completely exhausted, we started up the subdome, which is like zigzagging up this rock face, kind of, until you get to that. Now, right above my head, there are people climbing it. To give you perspective, a small little people on that thing, it's terrifying. So show the next slide, you get a picture of that. That's what you got to climb. It's like, we sat there, Betsy and I sat there, and I said to her, like, if we stay here any longer, I will not climb that. So we went up there. It was crazy because you had scared people coming down as you had people going up. And there's like at least 400 people on that ladder thing. We got to the top. We did it. Yes. Now, I am going to transition here. The Israelites are just leaving Egypt. They're just leaving Egypt, and Pharaoh's hardened heart made things really difficult for them because each plague just slammed into Egypt. And the Israelites, they may have not experienced direct hit, but they saw all this. And the night of the killing of the firstborn, they knew that people were dying all around the area. They had to kill the Passover lamb. They had to smear the blood. They had to eat this meal in haste. And in the morning, they left in a hurry. It was traumatic. And all of it, they even had good memories of Egypt that they would have to leave behind. And I can imagine the people saying to themselves, the hardest part is behind them. Egypt was the hardest part. They were free. What else could they have experienced? It could be half as difficult. It's coming. Turn to chapter 13. Chapter 13, starting with verse 17. Chapter 13, starting with verse 17. When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For God said, lest the people change their mind when they see war and return to Egypt. But God led the people around by the way of the wilderness toward the Red Sea. And the people of Israel went out of the land of Egypt equipped for battle. Moses took the bones, this is interesting, took the bones of Joseph with him. For Joseph had made the sons of Israel solemnly swear, saying, God will visit you, and you shall carry up my bones with you from here. And they moved on from Succoth to encamped at Etham at the edge of the wilderness. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them along the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, that they might travel by day or by night. Now that would have been cool, right? Like a night light, except it's huge and it illuminated the whole camp. Or as they were walking, they could see. Pretty amazing. The pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night did not depart from before the people. Then the Lord said to Moses, tell the people of Israel to turn back and encamp in front of Pi Hahiroth, I think I'm saying that right, between Migdol and the sea in front of Baal Zephon. You shall encamp facing it by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the people of Israel, they're wandering in the land. The wilderness has shut them in. I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them. And I will get glory over Pharaoh and all the hosts, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. And they did so. When the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, the mind of Pharaoh and his servants were changed toward the people, and they said, what is this that we've done, that we've let Israel go from serving us? So he made ready his chariot and took his army with him, and he took 600 chosen chariots and all the other chariots. So probably the newest edition chariots and then the old ones. They got them going with the officers over all of them. And the Lord hardened the heart of the Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued the people of Israel while the people of Israel were going out defiantly. The Egyptians pursued them, all of Pharaoh's horses and the chariots and his horsemen and his army. So it's probably more than 600. It was a lot of people. Overtook them, encamped by the sea, by Pi Hahiroth, in front of Baal Zephon. So here you go. Life is like that. Just when you think that you've gone through the hardest part, here comes another trial. Here comes another steep climb. Why does God do that? Why doesn't he just give us a break? Well, Psalm 23 tells us that he does. That he makes us lie down in green pastures. He leads us beside the still water. He does do that. But in order for our faith to grow, he's got to lead us off the shore, out of the shallows, and into the deep. That's what has to happen. Now, Moses was helped by the wilderness. Remember, he spent 40 years in the wilderness in Midian. Well, now the Israelites are going to have their chance in the wilderness to strengthen their faith. It's Israel's turn, so that their song, their phrase that they would lean into is that the Lord is my strength and my song. The Lord is the strength, my strength and my song. Strength and my song. Well, it takes a while to get there. Yet the Lord is mindful of our weakness. He's mindful of my weakness, of your weakness. He understands who he's dealing with as he's leading us. I want to draw your attention back to chapter 13, verses 17 and 18, because the quickest way to the promised land was up around the Mediterranean, along the shore, straight north. But that would have run straight into the Philistines. And the Philistines they were fierce. They were a militant nation. They had the edge on weaponry because they knew how to do iron works, and they had a monopoly on all the iron in the area. These people were superior in every way in their military exploits. And the people of Israel would one day have to face them. But the Lord knew that it wasn't time yet. Their faith needed to be strengthened. He knew the kind of faith that he was dealing with. It was infantile. You see, the Lord wants you to be strengthened, but he knows that you're weak. He knows that he needs to kind of take care of you and nurture you along. I think some verses in the Old Testament and the New Testament that talk about God as a shepherd. You know, because Moses was a shepherd, right? But the Lord is the good shepherd. He is the great shepherd. He's mindful of their weakness. Isaiah 40:11. He will tend his flock like a shepherd. This is God. He will gather the lambs in his arm. He will carry them in his bosom, which is by his chest, gently lead those who are with young. You hear that tenderness? God is that toward us. He's mindful of our weakness. He knows who he's dealing with. In the New Testament, in Mark chapter 6, verse 34, it says of Jesus, he went ashore, he saw the great crowd, and he had compassion on them because they were sheep without a shepherd. See, he has a tenderness toward us. The Lord was doing for Israel what we parents do for our children. We're choosing the path that they can handle for their maturity because he knows. He knows. He's mindful of our weakness. But if he's going to be our strength and our song, he must take us beyond the limits of our strength. That's the way it happens, away from the shore and into the deep. He is mindful of our weakness, but he is seeking to toughen us up. Say that with me. He is seeking to toughen us up. Yeah. Y'all signing up for that? Chapter 14, verses 1 through 4. Here the Lord said to Moses, tell the people of Israel to turn back and encamp in front of Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, in front of Baal Zephon. You shall encamp facing by the sea, for the Pharaoh will say of his people, they are wandering the land, the wilderness has shut them in, and I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them, and I will get glory over Pharaoh and all his hosts, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. I mean, don't they know that by now? Do we have to go through this again? He's mindful of their weakness, so why is he harassing the people of Israel through Pharaoh? Why is he stirring up Pharaoh to harass the people of Israel? Because Pharaoh wakes up one day, a few days afterward, and he realizes, why did I let go of all free labor? So he marshals all his army and gets them all ready to go, and they go to take back the people and bring them back. And I doubt Israel saw this coming. I thought they probably would have said, the hardest things are behind. And in that part of the world, you see for a long ways away, and probably you saw like a dust cloud. And it wasn't a storm. There was a lot of people coming, and I'm sure they were terrified. In fact, it says that, verse 10. When Pharaoh drew near, the people of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians were marching after them, and they feared greatly. It means they were terrified. And the people of Israel cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, Is it because that there were no graves in Egypt that you have taken us out here to die in the wilderness? What have you done to us in bringing us out of Egypt? Is this not what we said to you in Egypt? Leave us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians. For it's better to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness. And Moses said to the people, fear not, stand back, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will work for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you, and you have only to be silent. That's a good verse. We should be reminded of that a lot. You should have that up. The Lord will fight on your behalf. Oh, stand back and watch the salvation of your God. That's good. They were terrified. Why were they terrified? Well, they were terrified because they have a pathetic army, and the world's greatest army is now heading toward them. And they're getting pinned and pinched against the Red Sea with no place to go. They can't even run. Why would God want to terrify his people? Well, it's not simply he wants to terrify them, but he wants to move them to abandon human cleverness and strength so that the only option is to trust him. I know that doesn't sound very good, but the only option is to trust him. Because naturally, we're not going to go there. He has to bring about situations so that we will have no other option but to trust. When you size up a situation and you look at the strength of the opposing army or the obstacles ahead and you look at yourself, you cannot wilt in fear. You can't just shut it all down and never try that again. No. After sizing up the obstacle and the strength of your own arm, there's always more power for you, Christian. There's always more power. Can you believe that? Will you believe that? I remember commercials. I think there were recruitment commercials for the Army, for you to become Army strong. Someone remember those? Becoming Army strong. How do you become Army strong? Like, how does the military take your high school mates and turn them into leathernecks, people who will go to battle? The way that happens is they force upon them wartime situations in training. They have to be traumatized over and over and over again so that they come to the end of themselves. They have to push them beyond what they think they can do. When you know you can't succeed, humanly speaking, do you park it and shut everything down like there's no way? Or can you trust the Lord for more? Can you throw yourself upon the Lord's protection? Do you grumble against the Lord for putting you into this uncomfortable situation? Oh, man. Look at these accusations. They're not light accusations toward Moses. They're reading the worst of motives. Basically, there wasn't enough room for graves. You just want us dead. So you took us out here to die. Or they ask, why did you take us out of Egypt? It's like, that's a silly question. You were slaves. You cried out to the Lord. Basically, I think they were trying to say, are you just trying to be or to fulfill a desire to be a hero, Moses? Or this one. Did we not say that we just wanted to serve the Egyptians? We just want to stay and, like, you forced us out of Egypt, Moses. And then the best one of all, slavery was better than this. Again, we thought the hardest part was behind us, and yet the Lord, mindful of our weakness, tender-hearted toward us, still wants to toughen us. He still wants to toughen us. Can you be okay with that? I mean, you know, all of this has to get out. All of those accusations against Moses, all the belly aching, all the grumbling, it's got to come out because the Israelites have to see the weakness of their own faith. It's very fickle. They were just, it was only been days since they've been out of Egypt, and they are now wanting to go back. That's the weakness of their faith. When they are leaving Egypt with loads of gold, pockets full. They're like, God is awesome. God is awesome. And then we get against the Red Sea. And they're like, what is going on? Your God stinks, Moses. I mean, we can all look strong and confident when we're around our friends and in Bible study. But the Lord wants to take you into the deep. He has to show you your weakness before you become strong. He's mindful of your weakness. Are you? Because he's going to make you mindful of that weakness. I say this is the first step. This is the first step to make you aware of your own weakness. But there's another step, because so many people just stay right there. They'll admit they're weak. They'll admit they're weak. They can admit their fears and insecurities, and admitting them almost becomes a virtue in itself. But they won't go any further. Oh yeah, fear has always ruined me. Oh yeah, lust has always overtaken me. Yeah. It's almost like we've just surrendered to it, as if that's a virtue. It's the start of something good. It's the start of something good. Do you face them? Do you face the strong headwinds and start walking toward it? Or do you always avoid it? You're mindful of your weakness, but you must take steps that prove you trust God to protect and uphold you. Like, if you're going to share your faith, it probably means that you're going to have to build a friendship with someone that's uncomfortable to you. So instead of doing another Bible study, perhaps you have to start getting a friend group that doesn't know Jesus. Leading a group instead of watching someone lead. There are many in this room that for years God has nudged you that you should be leading a all-women group or an all-men group or a mixed group of life group, but you have pushed away. It's easier just to sit and take it in and let someone take the weight of leading. But with 100+ people moving off to the church plant, it comes again, we need you. And you need to grow in your faith. And perhaps it's time for you to do that. Or resolving conflict. Again, I know you're fearful. I know you don't like uncomfortable situations. But if you're going to just allow all this conflict to bury upon itself, it's going to be hard to have peace in your life if you don't face the headwinds of conflict resolution, as fearful and as petrified as you are, and take steps toward it. It's one thing to admit it, but how about, you know what? I don't like doing this. I'm petrified. I'm not very good at this. But because I want to honor the Lord, because I know that it's worship unto God to do something like this that's difficult, when I know he's calling me to do it, I want to make a step. That honors the Lord. That's worship. That's worship to God, because he is more important than you looking good or you feeling comfortable. And you're saying that by your steps of faith. The Lord cornered his people against the Red Sea and Pharaoh to toughen them up. There's a little bit of trauma that has to happen in order for us to trust when your instincts tell you to run. It's like you have to move your body in the right direction. I need to please the Lord. I want to do the right thing unto God when I'm petrified. You'll toughen up quick if you start doing that. Because in 10 years, do you really want to be in the same place? Dealing with the same things? Running from the same fears? Because the only way, it's not going to change unless you take God at his word and you start making steps that say, I trust you. Or, I want to please you, Lord. The Lord is my strength and my song. He's mindful of my weakness. He's seeking to toughen me up. And thirdly, he's defeating my enemy. Verse 15. The Lord said to Moses, why do you cry to me? Tell the people of Israel to go forward, lift up your staff stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it, that the people of Israel may go through the sea on dry land. And I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians so that they go in after them. And I will get glory over Pharaoh and all his hosts, his chariots and his horsemen. And the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord, that I've gotten glory over Pharaoh, his chariots and his horsemen. Then the angel of God, who was going before the host of Israel, moved and went behind them. And the pillar of cloud moved from before them and stood behind them, coming between the host of Egypt and the host of Israel. So there was a protection wall. And there was a cloud and the darkness. That's kind of ominous. So there was a cloud, it was dark, and it lit up the night. So it was dark, but yet there must be flashes of light or glow without one coming near to the other all night. So God protected the people of Israel. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord drove the sea back by a strong east wind all night, made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the people of Israel went into the midst of the sea on dry ground, the waters being a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. So that would have been amazing. And the Egyptians pursued in after them in the midst of the sea, all of Pharaoh's horses and chariots and his horsemen. And in the morning watch, the Lord in the pillar of fire and cloud looked down on the Egyptian forces and threw the Egyptian forces into a panic, clogging their chariot wheels. Now you can imagine it's still wet, but they're taking their chariots in there, and those things are heavy. And it started clogging their chariot wheels so that they drove heavily, and the Egyptians said, "Let us flee before Israel, for the Lord fights for them against the Egyptians." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea, that the waters may come back upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen." And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its normal course when the morning appeared. And as the Egyptians fled into it, the Lord threw the Egyptians into the midst of the sea. The waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the host of Pharaoh that had followed them into the sea. Not one of them remained. But the people of Israel walked on dry land through the sea, the waters being a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day from the hand of the Egyptians. And Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the seashore. Israel saw the great power of the Lord used against the Egyptians, so that the people feared the Lord, and they believed in the Lord and in his servant Moses. The way that God intended to defeat the people of Israel, it would echo through the canyon of the ancient Near East. It would echo through all of the nations how the Lord took them out of Egypt. And even when they were heading toward the promised land, all the nations feared them, just absolutely feared them, because the word got out. Now note, Pharaoh went with his army, verse 6. And the Lord lured them into the sea canyon, right, with the walls on either side, and their chariots, and they realized it was a trap. Too late. They tried to turn around. There was no way. And it says that all the Egyptians died, even Pharaoh that day. They saw the bodies washed ashore, some of them. Verse 31 again, Israel saw the great power of the Lord used against the Egyptians, so the people feared the Lord, and they believed in the Lord and in the servant Moses. And this produced the song. The Lord is my strength, and he is my song. When you see the salvation of God, okay, you will sing. You will sing. I had a friend of mine, his name is Rick Holland. He's a pastor friend but down in Kansas. We went to seminary together. He was my roommate, and he was a Tennessee Volunteer rabid fan. And if you don't know who the Volunteers are, I didn't either. But it's the University of Tennessee. Their mascot is the Volunteers. It's taken from the Civil War, I think. But so I sat there watching the Volunteers play. I think it was USC. We were sitting on the couch. It was very lovely. And when they scored, Rick Holland did something that I didn't think he got up on the coffee table and did a dance. Like, whoa! I mean, all decorum, all hesitation. If you saw him today, and maybe I'll get him to preach one day here. I mean, he's all put together, but he starts dancing on the coffee table. Because when you get excited, when you're thrilled of a victory, you're not going to hold back. And the Lord is my strength and song. That's what they said, chapter 15, verse 1 and 2. Then Moses and the people of Israel sang the song to the Lord. On the other side of the Red Sea, they sang this song. I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider he has thrown into the sea. Verse 2, the Lord is my strength and my song. That's my title. And he has become my salvation. This is my God. I will praise him. It's my Father's God, and I will exalt him. They sang, and it contains 18 verses, full song. They couldn't stop. And part of the verses say that, the horse and rider, they sank like a stone. They sank like lead to the very bottom. And then they talk about terror going through all the nations and hearing about this awesome rescue because the lion has roared. The Lord scattered the enemy. He has done the work. The song came after God obliterated the enemy. There was no more threat. And Christian, God has given us reason to sing because he has defeated the enemy. He's defeated the enemy. Dwayne, he's defeated your enemy. You have cause to sing. Yeah. Sam, you too. He's caused you to sing because he has let go of all the enemies, all the things that the enemy had against you, obliterated it. On the cross, obliterated it. The first thing that Noah did, remember when he and his 7 other people on that boat, when they got out on the dry land, the first thing they did was worship. He created a sacrifice. He offered it to the Lord. That's worship because he was saved. No one else was saved. Just 8 people. You think about how scary that would have been. You get off and where is everybody? We're the only ones alive. Because Noah couldn't swim for 40 days and 40 nights. The Lord had to do it. And the Israelites saw the enemies that were drowned and washed ashore. Miriam took a tambourine. And she gathered all the women, and all they did, they danced and they sang because all ambition was gone. That's what you do. What else do you do when you see the Lord work salvation for you? It's joy. Joy. It's reason why we have to remember. Remember I talked about that last week? The Passover was to be celebrated every year, a whole week. So from the 14th to the 21st of the first month, the whole week was given to reenact the Exodus, even down to eating it in haste and smearing the blood on the door again. And it was all a reenactment. And I read even this week in our reading plan, in Leviticus 22, 23, some of the other festivals. The Festival of Booths. The Festival of Booths is commemorating the 40 years in the wilderness because God did not want them to forget what he did all through the wilderness. He provided for them water from a rock, manna from heaven. Their clothes didn't wear out. They were to remember so that the Lord is the strength. He is my song. See, when we sing the Lamb of God, behold the Lamb, story of redemption written on his hand. Jesus, you will reign forevermore. We need these songs to sing, to remember what God has done, lest we go back. He's the strength, and my song. And I just want to insert here, salvation is in no one else. Escape from coming judgment, it is from the Lord. The waters were pulled back for Israel because the Lord did it. I mean, who could push back the sea? Who can do that but the Lord? And when he brought his own people through, the waters were unleashed on the enemy. You don't want to be God's enemy. I'll say it again. You don't want to be God's enemy. God has enemies. God has enemies. And I know it sounds medieval, but the Bible is really clear. Judgment will fall, just like the waters in Noah's day and in Moses' day. The waters are going to pounce and fall. It'll be fire next. And Jesus is the only way, the truth, and the life. He is the only way. Now how? Because the judgment falls on him. It falls on him instead of us. He shields us. Can you believe that? Will you believe that? Because if you think that it's going to fall because you're a good person, you're going to escape it and God's going to go, come on in, buddy boy, into my presence. That is not going to happen. By authority of God's word, that is not going to happen. You might be the nicest person in hell, but you will not be in heaven. Because it's not nice people that are in heaven. It's redeemed people. People who look to Jesus and say, I'm not worthy. I'm a sinner. I cannot make it. And in that moment, you cry out to God. He saves you. So then the judgment that fell upon Jesus then is applied to you by faith. That's how it happens. And it's not going to happen any other way. That's why it says Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Or it says that there is no salvation in anyone else but Jesus Christ. That's why it says that. So you don't want to be trusted in your chariot of good works and accomplishments and a beautiful disposition to try to make it through the gauntlet. You won't make it. No matter how fast you ride or how productive or how helpful you think you are, the waters are going to crush you without Jesus. You have to know that there's a day of reckoning. You have to know that. There has to be true justice one day. Yes, upon evil people and hurtful people, but if it's perfect justice, it's coming for you as well. You need deliverance. You need forgiveness. Where are we going to get that? And I'm telling you, by the authority of God's word, it's only in Jesus Christ. He is the Lamb of God that takes away the sin of the world. He is the light of the world. He's the way, the truth, and the life. He is the life and the resurrection. Christian, God is seeking to toughen you up. It's time to go beyond admitting your fears, admitting your weakness. It's time to trust. It's time to face down Pharaoh and to walk through the water. And when you get to the other side, you sing. You sing. You sing. You sing of your Redeemer. You sing of the one who saved you. Because it's by no other way. It was not because you're clever or beautiful or accomplished. It was none of that. You know, God's people are a bunch of, they're the losers and the failures. And we admit it. Fine. We are fools for Jesus and it's okay. And I don't care if I look silly. It's Jesus. And I'm going to sing with all my might. That's the company of the redeemed. God is seeking to bring you through so you can sing and say, He is my strength and He is my song.